بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون صدق الله مولانا العظيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا مولانا بارك وسلم صل عليه الصلاة والسلام عليك سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وصحبك سيدي يا حبيب الله. All praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Creator, the Master and the Sustainer of the universe. And may countless salutations and incalculable salawats be upon the best of the creation, the leader of all messengers, our Master Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Thereafter, my dearest listeners, I'm very grateful for your presence here today, especially the ulama and the mashayikh who have traveled distances to be in attendance today. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you all immense reward, inshallah ta'ala. It is very important that in this dunya we hang out with, or we are amongst noble people, people who are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they will never forget us, they will never leave us. According to a saying of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, on the day of Qiyamah, when the believers are protected from the fire, they have been granted protection, then after the matters have been closed, you can say, and Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala sallam said that those believers will argue in such a way, or present their case in such a way in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that none of you do that or would have done that for any affair of yours in the dunya. And whatever the situation was, it couldn't have been, more severe than that. The way those people will present their case in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what will they say? They will not talk about themselves. They will not talk about what they used to do. They are not concerned about themselves. They are already protected from the fire. What more do they want now? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His Messenger sallallahu ta'ala says that those people, they would say that these people that are thrown into the fire of hell, into the fire, they used to pray with us. They are our brothers. They used to fast with us. They used to perform Hajj with us. And they are now being thrown into the fire. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant them this leave on that day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say to them that you have now authority to bring out from the fire whoever you recognize. Whoever you recognize, bring them out of the fire of hell. And those people who will be in the fire, their bodies will be burnt. Some of them, their face will remain for recognition. But those people, those believers, those people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will recognize those people who used to perform salah with them, who used to perform, keep fast with them. They were in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alongside them. So these people will never leave us even on the day of Qiyamah. So it's important that when we form relationships in dunya, when we choose our friends, Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala has said that people adopt the way of their friends. So you should be very careful when you make companionships or choose your friends. The friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we know, as I mentioned previously as well, we hear that these people, these friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they show no fear. They have no sorrow. We used to hear these characteristics of the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I can say that we have witnessed this in our Shaykh. That he had no fear. No matter how hard the circumstances were, or whatever happened, we saw that our Shaykh showed resolve. He was committed to his cause. And even in the toughest of times, he used to say that we need not to worry about these things. All we need to do is work constructively for the deen. And this should be our aim and mission in our life as well. That we constructively work for the betterment of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, of our deen. Because now is the time when we are facing fitan of such a nature that probably we never faced, the Ummah never faced before. Especially in these countries, we have, atheism and these sort of things. And I was speaking to another scholar the other day, and he was mentioning the aqaid that we are teaching. Why are not we teaching our people aqaid in regards to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? People are becoming atheists. They are leaving their deen. But we are not teaching our, all the arguments that we present, the philosophical arguments, the cosmological arguments. Our scholars, they are very disconnected from the reality. They are very far from the reality because it is easy to debate on the topics that elder scholars or older scholars or scholars are debating over thousands and hundreds of years. And it is very hard to research. It is very hard to bring new topics on the table, to debate actual people who are there, who are masters, who are considered to be masters in their own fields. So we need to change our behaviors to meet the requirements of this time and age. I don't remember exactly, but once I was in a masjid where I used to lead Jummah, and someone came to me, a youngster came to me, mentioning such a question that he did not even know the basis of our deen. If people are, if they are in the masajid, the children are in the masajid, and in the masajid they are not learning the basis of our deen, they do not know the foundations of our deen, then what is the purpose of our talks and discourses in these houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I feel like that there was only a few people who had actually prepared their talk today, or what they had to talk about. Like, for example, Allama Ataullah Shah Sahib, he knew what he was talking about. He had done some homework. So very few people have done their homework when it comes to delivering Jummah khutbahs and other discourses and speeches. We tend to recycle or upcycle our previous talks and discussions, but very few people actually do their homework, and this is shameful. And this is very shameful, or for all of us. That we do this a lot. But this is a requirement for the time that we put an effort in. When we are on the stage, we put an effort in what we are, mentioning in front of the people. People have access to a lot of information, a lot of misinformation. And there are people, in various countries throughout the world that are spreading a lot of misinformation, labeling it as information and the haqq and the truth. And we need to equip our younger generation with the right sort of knowledge, equip them with the knowledge of our deen, the Quran and Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala wasallam. Put the respect of elders in their hearts. This is something that we were known by, the adab of our elders. Now we see that our own people are very disrespectful of their own elders. Our elders are not those who passed away not only those who passed away hundreds of years ago. We still have elder ulama present amongst us, and we need to have this decency to respect our elders. It doesn't matter if we agree with them in everything or each and everything, but we still need to acknowledge the work that they have done and appreciate that. And following on the footsteps of our noble father and our Shaykh, as the solicitor or the barrister earlier, he was mentioning that he was through Pir Sahib in many conflicts over the time period was over 40 years, and he never heard Pir Sahib mention anything negative about his opponents. And this is a big thing. Having this courage and dignity to not even belittle your opponents is something that we learn from the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala wasallam. He approached them, he reached out to them in a very positive way. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to remain steadfast on our deen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our generations and keep them steadfast on the deen, and also steadfast upon the way, the manhaj of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our gathering here this evening, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us all to carry out and carry on and continue the mission of our Shaykh in the best way possible. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
तनम फरशुदा जा पारा ज़िहरा या रसूल